Hello and welcome back to a weekly market recap. I'm with Rich.
Hello, everyone.
And I'm Knight. Let's get to it. So this past week, we saw the market down 0.43%, still up year to date 18.25%. The biggest thing affecting the market this week has been the Delta variant, the rise in the amount of cases within the US and around the world globally. And there just leads to a lot of questions on what's going to happen. Are we going to have more shutdowns? Are we going to continue to see cases rise? What's going on with people who are vaccinated? Are they safe from the Delta variant? There are a lot of unknowns that are currently going on, and it is affecting the market. Look at what happened this week. What we see in the market is we actually started off relatively strong, continuing to rise. We hit all-time highs on Monday. And then from there, we started getting worse news about the Delta variant and led to a sell-off throughout the week. But we did have some strong economic numbers near the end of the week, specifically around unemployment data and weekly new unemployment starts. And that was relatively strong. So we did end Friday rebounding and recovering a good amount of the losses that we did see on Wednesday and Thursday. So Rich, do you want to talk a little bit about the Delta variant and what implications we have for that going forward?
Absolutely. What we're seeing is in other countries, Israel being one, that the vaccines begin to lose their effectiveness against the Delta variant over time. That's leading to that country and Great Britain instituting boosters. And when the documentation and studies were presented to the CDC this week, the CDC then stated that they're going to institute a booster program, and that's going to start this September for everyone 8 months. And that caught the market by surprise because we weren't expecting that.
If we think about the Delta variant and high level, what's going to happen within the market, when COVID first happened, we saw people saving their money, not spending it, and almost building up the reserve funds. We've already started to see something similar to that start to happen. So we saw retail numbers come in really, really poor for the month of July. Now that is compared to the month of June, which did have Amazon Prime Day and other really big days. So we did see some dropping due to that. But if we start to think about it, if people think, okay, we're getting this next round of COVID, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay my mortgage, pay my rents, they're going to start saving more money. Now, what's that going to do? It's actually going to drive down inflationary pressures for the short term. We're almost going to get another dip in prices. So short term, we might see prices start to come down, but the fear is actually we're already having different supply chain issues, chip shortages. If we see stock go down or people not wanting as many goods, that's going to put more pressure on it in the long term. I think we'd actually end up getting supply chain shortages for longer if we have to start shutting down. One thing that recently came out is that the automakers actually said that they would have to shut down some of their factories because they're already seeing such a supply chain impact with the chips that they have all these cars made, but no chips to put in there. Now, what does that mean? Workers who are currently working at those factories might not have a job in the short term. They might get furloughed. And it's this snowball effect that if we see, again, the pandemic round 2 coming in, we might see prices come down in the short term, which would alleviate maybe some inflation fears in the short term, but actually just create a longer headwind at the end of it that we might not see at the beginning. So that's really where we are running back and forth between what are the impacts of this Delta variant.
And an example of that, what I just mentioned, is that in China, one of the port terminals was shut down because one of the workers was found to have the Delta variant and was COVID. And China is being very aggressive in shutting down. We've also seen that in New Zealand, they shut the country down for a case of Delta variant. So we are seeing some of this shutdown in marginal cases. If it gets to be more, all of China versus 1 or 2 areas, a terminal, that would be a much bigger worry, bigger country than New Zealand shutting down. But the fact that this is occurring is making the market nervous, as it should.
It comes back to, if we experience a next round of shutdowns, it's obviously bad for the economy, bad for the long term. We've already had the Fed come in and do so much quantitative easing. They do more, and there are a lot of questions that are unknown. But for the time being, relative path, if the Delta variant can get under control, if people do take the boosters, there is a clear path forward right now. It's just, do we follow that path or do we start to slip? And we don't know at this moment, and the market doesn't know. So that's why you've seen a little bit of news have a decent sized impact in what goes on. But anyway,
Absolutely.
appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, we're here to support you. Your money's here to support you. And we'll see you again next week.